everybody. It's me, Fitzy. I'm back again, and I'm so excited to say welcome back to the Why Do Boys Make podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my ever-lovely co-host, Michael Corbett. Corby, how you been?
Hi. I'm doing great. It's great to be back, as always. Every time we do this, it feels like the longest day of my life, and then, after the editing's done, it feels like an eternity, and I'm like, I can't wait to do this again. So I've been having such an awesome time, honestly.
Same. And like this past week, I was off at UMass, hanging out with some friends there. I forgot that I had even scheduled the pod to drop, so I start getting like email notifications on my phone. What do you mean? Somebody's commenting on the pod this morning? So yeah, definitely, right. I'm with you there. I listened to it again. Like I said, I can't help myself. Like, of
course,
I want to listen to it so I can make sure I know what I said last week, because that's how my memory works.
Of course.
Speaking of how memory works, let's take a trip down memory lane and see what happened last week in the league. And we're starting off here. Corby taking on Crispy. Corby wins. Everybody picked it. Everybody was right. Corby, your victory lap is yours.
I'm just glad I don't have to start to rod every week, honestly. I had a good feeling I was going to win, but Chris is my good friend, and his team is in shambles.
Yeah, no, there were a couple of, I'll go ahead and say it, bad spots for bad teams this week, but Chris, second fewest points, under 100. Not a great look, but luckily, Dawson's dudes continuing on. With or without Dawson in the lineup, you're finding a way to get it done.
Dude, I think I only started him once and then he got hurt. This might be the week.
As long as you don't become Cook's cronies again, I'll be happy for
you. Okay, next matchup here, we had Adam versus Taylor. Before I say who was picked and who was won, let me lead with this. Latavius Murray has been in Taylor's lineup for the last 3 weeks and has scored 0 points in all of those weeks. Taylor starts both quarterbacks from the same team. His defense scores more than 8 of his starting players. And Adam still loses. I picked Adam. Fitzy picked Taylor. Coin and Chris also pick Adam here. Fitzy, anything?
I have to come clean to the listeners here, because I was trolling a little bit last week with this one when I picked Taylor. Sometimes you make a bet because you believe that you've got an edge. You think, I can make money if I say these words in this order. And sometimes you make a bet because it's fun. And this was a clear, people score a lot against Adam pick. But that didn't happen. Taylor, like you said, he had a free spot on his bench. He decided not to activate David Montgomery into the starting lineup and put him in over Latavius Murray. He didn't even have to drop anyone to take Latavius Murray out of his lineup if he loves his team that much. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed by this outcome, because I think I could build an Adam is cursed narrative a little bit more cleanly if Taylor had either put up like 150 or if he had won by exactly Taysom Hill's points. But winning by like 3 here, I don't even know what to say about this other than we're 9 weeks into the season. And if things ended today, Taylor would be in the playoffs. What? Fantasy football. I love it, but it doesn't make sense. And, even though you love it, sometimes you're not going to win every week. And that's the case here with our next matchup, Eric versus Fitzy. We all picked Eric, and we all saw it coming. I'm just honestly surprised it was this close.
Yeah.
Because my team's got some problems here, honestly, whether it's DeAndre Hopkins being hurt, Tua breaking his finger and not being IR eligible. That kind of pissed me off. But you know what? The 49ers spending a 3rd-round pick on a running back that is now officially their 5th running back. And I mean that. After injuries, he's where the 5th running back on the team coming into the year would be. He's inactive behind a couple of bums. And I'm done. I'm done. Goodbye to you, Trey Sermon. But I'm not all bitter. Eric, Jonathan Taylor had so much stink on him coming into the year with his guard, Quentin Nelson, being injured. Carson Wentz is hurt. He broke his foot. Is he going to be okay? I'm just so happy for you that he's on your team. I hope you ride that guy to a championship rematch against me, and I just hope it goes better for me this time.
Eric, you've got one of my favorite teams in the league. I've got nothing but good vibes for you. I don't have anything to say to you. My focus today is on Fitzy. It's just one thing. Last week, you had an experience that many of us have had in the past. You started Nelson Aguilar, and he put up 0 points. It is demoralizing.
Okay, so it's demoralizing on a couple of levels here. I wasn't going to bring this up. If I had started Jordan Howard on my bench over him, I would have won. That's a strange sentence to say. Here's the most demoralizing part. Nelson Aguilar, I was more confident in than Brandon Ayuk coming into the week. So, like, if I had made that decision to start someone, I would have taken Brandon Ayuk, get this second leading scorer behind my defense. I'll say that again. Brandon Ayuk was my second leading scorer behind my defense. Oh my God, I would have benched that. No, I feel properly demoralized is what I'll say, Corby.
Okay, fair enough. Next up, we had Brandy versus Chris Cloud, where Brandy pulls off the victory. And I picked Brandy, Fitzy picked Chris, and the coin and Chris were also with me. My notes here this morning said, Brandy, you're probably feeling good about a win, but does it really feel that good? Because Sam Darnold is so bad. And you lost Chase Edmonds. But as leagues go, we had a trade. Now Sam Darnold is gone, which is great. You got rid of him. You've solved that problem. And you've got Fournette now too, which is great too. And you still got Noah Fart, even though the real tight end one is Pat Freiermuth. Nice trade.
I'm excited to see Brandy make a couple of martinis with her new team name, I hope, Pat Vermouth. But no, here, Brandy, you win. And you also won on the axis that I was targeting last week. Targets, 53 total team targets to Chris's 49. Chris, predictably, could have won the matchup if he had predicted who was going to get the most targets on his team. Elijah Moore and Nyheim Hines went off on a Thursday night tirade. You missed the Elijah Moore week.
Totally brutal.
Trust me, as a Jets fan, not going to happen again. Not the 27 points. And trust me, as a Nyheim Hines truther, falser, whatever you want to call me, I know my Nyheim Hines, and I know Nyheim Hines is not scoring 21 points when his team is crushing a team. Probably ever again. So tough week there for Chris. From Chris and Brandy, we turn to Colin and Tyler. Tyler gets the win. I had him picked. So did our guest, but the coin and Corby were both on Colin. I'll make a quick note here. Yeah, Tyler wins because he made a sick trade, and He had a good post-trade bump from both of his guys. I believe that's a real thing, the post-trade bump where players perform extra well their first week. We've seen it all year with guys like Jared Goff. Jared
sure.
Goff
God, I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. Heck, even Devin Singletary and Rondell Moore, the trade that I won't stop thinking about.
That's true.
They did great. The post-trade bump, specifically in this league, really makes a difference. And the gold manager gets it done against the silver boy.
Yeah, I have pretty much the same note here. Tyler, you made a great trade in a pinch. You needed a quarterback. That was pretty much the only reason I didn't pick yes, because you needed a quarterback. Your new guys join your squad and they go off. It's awesome. I love when Kareem Hunt doesn't play because I know that Nick Chubb is going to go fucking ballistic.
Yeah.
I just fucking love it. It's great. Colin, bench Cortland Sutton, wave him off. It's Jerry Jeudy time. Next week, you'll be back at full running back power, though, so that's fun. Going from Colin to Tyler, we've got Chris Colby versus Mike Colby Baconowitz, where Chris Colby annihilates Mike. I picked Mike. Fitzy and the coin picked Chris, and Chris picks Mike. Again, you made a great trade. You got Matt Ryan off your team, somebody you hate, and you got Dalvin Cook in return. That always feels good because I think Dalvin Cook could be the number one running back moving forward. Mike, he lost by over 100 points. He more than doubled you up. Fitzy, can I get a check on a stat, please? Sans Theo rituals. Is this the lowest score in the history of this league?
That's a great question. So here I'm going to filter real quick to turn on only regular season. That way we're not getting those Theo awful things. If I look at A few here are fun to see. Mike this week scores 70.5. The lowest in league history was also by Abakanowitz. Mike Sr., who in 2017, week 8, playing against Taylor, put up 61.8.
Oh my God.
And did get beat by over 100. Congrats to Taylor. He put up 165 that week. We also have other notable ones. When I look to, we also had Steven put out 62.5 in 2013. Big Mike comes back in 2019 and dropped 63.3.
Oh my God.
The lowest for current league members, though, and I cannot believe this is a real score, when Corby took on Chris Cloud in week 7 of 2019, and Corby put up 66.7 against Chris Cloud's 91.5. Woo!
That was a fucking good one, huh?
Good God. My good. The worst part of this one, Corby, you had no points on your bench. You must have been facing the bye week from hell that week. I don't see who was on the team, but oh my goodness.
That's fun. Anyways, thoughts on the matchup?
Yeah. So Chris came back after it was a great time in the pod last week, but we did bully him a little bit. We bullied him. We kept saying, you got doubled up. You got doubled up. He comes back and almost triples Mike. Oh my goodness. A near tripling. Corby, I want to ask you this. What's more embarrassing for Mike here? The -2 from his defense or the 4-target 0-point week from my guy, Brian Edwards?
Definitely Brian Edwards.
Yes.
You can't start Brian Edwards. You can't. You cannot. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I don't care who else is like. I don't care that Henry Ruggs isn't on the team anymore. He's fucking Brian Edwards. He's horrible.
Mike has Deebo Samuel, who, again, wide receiver 2 now on the 49ers. Oh, yeah, you look at the rest of his wide receivers. I'm going to read off the points for you. Brian Edwards, 0. Tyler Boyd, 2.1. Robbie Anderson, 1.2. Kenny Golladay
still starting Robbie Anderson.
Kenny Golladay is the second best guy here at 4.8. He starts 5 wide receivers. Only one of them gets over 5. That's unbelievable.
An awful week.
So speaking of getting over 5, this past week I had a banger of a week thanks to Taylor coming through against Adam, where I went 5-1. Corby goes 3-3. The Coin and Chris both 4-2. The Coin and Chris, they put themselves back on the level as the Coin and our guests' cumulative record are now 500. I pull ahead of Corby here by 3 games, 33-21 to 30-24. Well, from not good to good. I love the segues this week. You can keep that right in the pod. Corby's corner has got me feeling good this week. And Corby, I want to start by asking you a question this week, because I heard that you cleaned up some of the apps on your phone. Is this true?
Yeah, it's true. And when I say some of, I just mean I deleted the Reddit app off of my phone because I was staring at it too much.
No, I did the same thing. There was a time last year where I was still in grad school. I deleted Twitter for a little while because I found myself just looking at my phone and scrolling through it for too long. I blocked Reddit on my laptop, right?
Yeah.
And you know what I found myself doing? I found myself scrolling through Zillow for hours at a time.
Oh,
it's more the physical reaction. Are you feeling that you've got the same thing?
Well, yeah. So now, okay. So I play. There's this game called Egg Inc. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. So you know what Cookie Clicker is?
Of course.
So basically, it's just Cookie Clicker, but with chickens laying eggs. And so there's a lot of ads in this game, right? So I see a lot of advertisements for boosts or like 2 times earnings or whatever. And there's these ads. There are like, okay, I have downloaded so many of these awful looking free-to-play games because like, I just want to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. Because like all of these games have the same assets. They all have like the same stupid name. Hold on, I'm playing on my phone. Let me. I'm playing a game called Aerofest and Z Escape. Like these are just viruses, right? I'm just downloading viruses.
Yeah, is Aerofest that dumb Twitter ad that I keep seeing where you send an arrow through ×2 ×5
yes.
-10?
Yes,
This is what I'm doing.
This is what I'm doing. This is what I do now. It's insane. And so if you have time, you should download these games because they are all exactly the same. And every time you beat a level, every single time you have to watch an ad. And it's just for more of these games. And so then you go down deeper in the rabbit hole. And you find more of these awful games that are all the same and they all use the same fucking assets. It's insane. It's the craziest thing.
I've got two questions for you after that. One, have you downloaded and played S1E King's Return or whatever that game is with the pull the stick out and make the lava fall?
Oh, do me a favor. Next time you see one of those ads, you should actually go to the app and see what it is because they're usually like match 3 games like fucking Hexic or like Candy Crush. They are not even that game. It's just like, I don't know what that is because I do investigate this kind of shit because I love seeing this garbage on the App Store. Like it's amazing. Yeah, I've not played Gardenscapes. I've not played House Millionaire Mansion or whatever. Those are too much for me.
Question 2. This actually gets me to something I wanted to ask you about later. As a new homeowner myself, I found myself having so much energy for house projects, right? Getting out there with a chainsaw, cutting down trees in the backyard, busting a hole in the drywall. And just this past week, I felt a little bit of, I could do with sitting on the couch for a little bit. I wanted to ask you, when does the homeowner energy start to run out? And it seems like the answer is you're at least feeling it. If you've got time for mobile games right now, right?
Oh, gee, yeah. I mean, it's been a kind of crazy couple of months. Like we've just been doing so many things and seeing so many people that we haven't seen before. So like we kind of slowed down on taking care of shit, doing shit, stuff like that. But I think now that the winter is coming and now we have to like clean up the yard and like winterize everything, we're gonna get back into it and start doing more shit. So I think it just comes and goes as our lives go, honestly.
Completely mobile game agnostic, basically.
Don't say fuck mobile games. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Just don't. It's so fucking stupid.
Corby, that was my question for you. Did you have any topics you wanted to bring to the corner today?
Yeah, the daylight savings thing. What do you think? I hate this shit.
I've got sort of a not exactly hot, but somewhat nuanced take here. My least favorite day of the year, of the whole year, was this past Sunday. I hate it when daylight savings time comes about. I don't care that I get that extra hour of sleep. I'm just going to be sad for the next half of a year. I'm a solar powered person. I work that way. On the other hand, I expressed this opinion to a lot of people. And this past year, an elderly woman confided in me that they tried to get rid of this apparently in the 80s and quote, it was too dark and the kids were getting hit by cars at the bus stop. So we had to put it back.
Wow.
I don't know if that's true. I have not seen data on this, but I'm pro having sun in my life and I'm anti kids getting hit by cars at the bus stop. So there has to be a better way somewhere in between the two where we can be outside when it's light out. Maybe the answer is just everybody should move to Florida.
Yeah, maybe so. Pack your bags.
While we're on the subject of, the getting into November, leaves are falling, it's dark out forever. The holiday season, Corby, underrated or overrated?
It's hard to say. I feel like if you're a child or your parents are alive, it's probably nice. I would still say underrated though. I love Christmas. I think Christmas is always so fun. I don't know why. I don't really care about Halloween. Is hit or miss with me. I don't really care about it. Thanksgiving is fun because of football and good food, but I used to do big things, but I don't do that anymore. But Christmas is always fun because even now, I'm 28 and I still wake up at like 5 a.m. on Christmas morning. Just even to just go with be with Brandy. It's one thing that I hold on to, actually.
No, I kind of agree. I think it's the holiday season. If we're going to get sentimental on this week's pod, I'll say it is a light in the darkness of winter. I'm an anti-winter guy, but I think the holiday season comes at just the right time to lift the spirits up. If anybody says I hate Christmas, they're a real Scrooge. Even if it's before Thanksgiving, it's okay to like Christmas, I think. Let's see. Anything else interesting? Oh, right. You and a few others in the league were at the casino this past weekend, where I know we had that in-person live trade between Chris Colby and Tyler. Do you see anything else at the casino that's maybe of note?
So I was at unnamed Connecticut casino, and that was a lot of fun to be with everybody and all that jazz. What I always do is I always wander off by myself and look for a table so I can play some cards. It was like about a little after 1, and I was sitting at a table, and there was these 2 old men, like old white men there. I walk up to the table, and I'm like, I'm gonna wait for the shoe. The dude, I honestly thought he was like shitting himself. Like he had the nastiest like face, and he looked like he was dying. Like he's so fucking old. And so that was one of the dudes. And then the shoe goes, whatever. We're playing. It's not going that great. It's not going that great. It's still not going great. It doesn't. Okay. Spoiler alert. It doesn't go that great. These men just kept throwing like $150, $200 a hand, regardless of how the cards were going. And it just tickled me. I loved it. It was great. I lost $15. These guys lost everything. It was a good experience.
I don't know what it is about old men at the casino placing big bets. Where do they get all this money? I mean, Corby, we're adults with jobs, and I still feel like a $10 minimum hand for blackjack is like, oh, maybe too rich for me. Where's the $5 hand? You know, like who are these people dropping hundreds on roulette?
That's a discussion for a whole nother type of podcast.
Okay, true. I don't want to get too dark on this week. The sun has done that for us this week. Instead, we're going to get into this week's Tickem. Look forward into the light, if you will. And Corby, I want you to start me off here. We're going to be looking at Taylor versus Chris Colby.
Okay. Fitzy, I have a little surprise for you. I've changed it up a bit this week.
Oh.
Instead of finding a link between our 2 competitors, I've written a haiku about all of these matchups. So, this one is called White Flag. Chris will win this one. Dalvin Cook is now all yours. Taylor doesn't care.
I love that one, Corby. I'm also switching it up just a little bit this week. I'm keeping up with the themes. Last week, my theme was knowledge, which admittedly, it's a bit of a cheat code. Like, of course, picking games based on facts and logic is going to lead to a good outcome. That's not even really a theme. That's just me saying things about the matchup. So I went 5-1 in picks, but I lost my matchup. So I'm taking a different tact this week and pursuing wisdom, because wisdom is not something that you can simply possess. So I looked to the ancients, and this week's picks are in the spirit of fantasy football about defeating your opponent before the matchup has even begun. This week's picks are brought to you by Sun Tzu's The Art of War. I'll start here with Taylor versus Chris Colby. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Chris, you have prepared well for this battle. Enjoy your weekend.
Folks, welcome back. The coin.
And the coin is picking Chris Colby. Congrats to the coin. Next matchup here is Eric versus Brandy. And we'll start with the coin. The coin wants Eric. And I want to talk about the trade, Corby, because to me, I don't think it was a very bad trade. I don't think so. But I'll tell you, despite the great timing for dumping Sam Darnold, I personally didn't like it for Brandy to dump Kelsey here. Now, you've got 3 tight ends. I get it. You're rich at a position. It makes sense for your team. But for those who didn't see it, the trade was Brandy trading away Sam Darnold, Travis Kelsey, and Kenyon Drake for Leonard Fournette and Carson Wentz. Maybe I'm just not a Leonard Fournette believer, but I see why they did it. I mean, Carson Wentz is a fantasy-friendly quarterback. That was a need for sure. But Kelsey's a first-round talent, and you don't normally see a lot of movement around for those guys. So the quote for this matchup: treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Eric has been playing fantasy football on Yahoo since 2015. He is currently rated platinum, and he has never completed a trade in any of his 12 leagues. His players are loyal and will follow him into battle, leading him to victory this week against Brandy.
For Eric and Brandy, this one is called Stacked Deck. Brandy made a trade. This helps, but Rick's team is stacked. He will win this one. Next matchup here, we have Fitzy versus Adam. Coin, why don't you lead us off again?
So the coin here wants Fitzy.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I will recite this haiku. It's called Blame and Aging. Adam has Kelsey. 1 QB. Uh-oh, Fitzy. Agnew Adam wins.
So Adam was on the other side of the trade, does have Kelsey. And, here I just have to say Adam's trading. He's wheeling and dealing like crazy. And honestly, I'm happy for him. His team might be cursed, but at least he's trying. And the art of war. If your opponent is of choleric temper, seek to irritate him. Pretend to be weak, that he may grow arrogant. Hey, Adam, you suck. I'm picking myself because your team lost to Taylor. Wow, how embarrassing. I hope that worked. Our next matchup is Colin taking on Chris P. And we will start once again with the coin, who is taking Colin. My quote here: if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself, but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. Colin knows himself better than any other fantasy manager I know. Him and his pass-catching running backs, man. Chris P, I fear, may not know his team after a year where a series of trades that we've covered extensively on the pod has decimated him. I pick Colin as he begins the long journey back to gold.
This next one is called Euthanasia. Life support for Chris. Someone call the doctor now. Colin puts him down. Next matchup here, we've got Tyler versus Chris Cloud. This one I like to call Time Machine. Sanders, WR2. Ingram, RB2. Tyler breezes by.
Be extremely subtle, even to the point of formlessness. Be extremely mysterious, even to the point of soundlessness. Thereby, you can be the director of the opponent's fate. Chris Cloud has been subtle. Chris Cloud has been mysterious. He has made only 7 moves so far this year. Tyler, your team is on a roll, but I believe Chris might be about to ambush you. I and the coin are taking Chris here. In our next matchup, we have Mike B taking on Mike C. Corby. Take it away.
Before I begin, I thought I would do something fun and call Mike. He has no idea that I'm about to call him. And I'm just going to talk to him and see if he'll talk to us about his matchup. So if he doesn't answer, then I'm just going to cut this whole part.
Hello?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, nothing. Hey, you have a second to talk?
Yeah. What's going on?
Okay. Well, you are currently live on the air in the middle of a recording of the Why Do Boys Make Podcast podcast.
Oh, okay. What's up, brother? Hey, Fitzy.
Fitzy can hear you, but you can't hear him. Fitzy says hi. We're currently going over yours and my matchup, and I was just wondering if you.
Matchup? Is that what you want to call it? A matchup? It's not a matchup. It's a slaughter.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to say to the rest of the league?
Well, I can't even think of anything to say. It's been a great season so far. I've had a lot of fun. I love injuries. I'm so glad I drafted these players. I trusted my gut, and it's just paying the dividends. So just never doubt yourself.
Mike,
That's what I'm gonna say.
thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. We look forward to having you as a guest within the next couple of weeks.
Thanks, Corby. I can't wait.
Take care, Mike.
Bye.
Bye. Mike McConnell, it's everybody. He knows what's about to happen. So I'm going to read a poem. Mike changed his name. I don't care. I was really proud of this one. This one's called Lactose Intolerant. Holy moly, Mike. Your team really is Swiss cheese. I think I win here.
Holy moly, indeed. The coin picks you, Corby. And on the one hand, Mike's in desperation mode, and Sun Tzu once said, "A man backed into a corner will most likely come out like a wild animal, as they are willed to fight and succeed, because it is their only option. They will fight with heart and instinct and do anything necessary to win." On the other hand, the Sun Tzu guy also said, "There are not more than 5 musical notes." So, I don't know. Maybe he's not so smart after all. Corby, it's obviously going to be you this week. No more analysis needed.
Shit. Mike is calling me back. Back on the air. What's up, Mike?
Hey, I also just want to add one more thing. I am not trading any of my players, so stop sending me trade requests. That's it. Especially you, Adam. Never. Okay. All right. Bye.
So with that out of the way, let's move on to bets of the week. And Corby, what a week it was. We're going to start off with, when you flip a coin enough times, eventually it's going to come up tails. So take it away, Corby, please.
We made a bet that there would be an overtime game. I said yes, and there was. I win the bet, and I don't have to make it again. Next up, we had it closest to the pin for Adrian Peterson fab cost. Fitzy took AP at 15. I did at 18, and Chris took him at 11. I win again because he went for like $40-something.
Yeah, he went for 43. Corby, you put in an offer for 9. The only other offer was talk about closer to the pin, right in the middle. I put in 28. Why would I bet 15?
Why would
only
you do
to
that?
throw you off the scent. This was only I looked like a fool in front of 9 people so that I could throw 2 people off the scent. I did the same thing with next on the list, Jeremy McNichols, also closest to the pin. I just took the over on 24.5, and I proceeded to, of course, put in 31 as an offer. So
oh god.
Went to Eric for $48, and yikes, he did get more points than the week before, 0.2 more points to finish at 6.5. So tough week for McNichols.
Next bet we had, it was a bet between Chris and myself, and it was Jamar Chase points over 23.5. I took the under, and Jamar Chase had his worst game of the week, only for this reason.
I'm not a superstitious person, but it is science that when you make a bet on something or when you trade someone, things will happen. That's just science.
No question. Finally, another bet between Chris and I was who would win the $100 league. I won by 30. So that leads us to bets this week. I've got 3.
I've also got 3. And I've got, let's go ahead and say 2 that I think you'll take.
Okay.
So I'll start things off because there was a sick trade this week. The Nick Chubb for Dalvin Cook trade. We loved to see it. It was very fun to see it. And then Nick Chubb gets announced that he has COVID-19 despite being vaccinated.
Right.
Corby, you broke this news to me before we started recording the pod. Another bet that will likely be resolved before we, get out of here for the week. Will he or will he not play? I'm going to make a bet for you that Dearness Johnson will outgain Nick Chubb on the ground this week.
I mean, tested positive for COVID, right?
Right.
I don't think I'm going to make that one.
This was the one I didn't think you were going to take, so I'm glad we got it out of the way. Why don't you bring me something I can take now?
Sure. I've got this one. You probably will take it. I'll let you choose what side you want to take.
Oh.
I would be happy to take either. More catches this week. Chris Godwin or Mike Evans against the Washington football team.
Ooh. Are either of them hurt? Don't they both have questionable tags?
Oh, I don't know.
Luckily, I can just go to Mike's team to check these stats. Not many players I have memorized what team they're on, but Mike's guys I have. And yeah, it looks like Mike Evans kind of was leading a bit more toward the start of the year. Chris Godwin. I'm going to take Chris Godwin. More receptions, you said?
Yeah, more catches.
Seems like with AB out, I think he steps up a little bit. So I like Godwin there.
Okay, I'll take Mike Evans.
Sure. Corby, you made a comment here that for the most part, we were on the same side of our picks this week. We started off on the same there. And, we've got some money on that already. So we already have a bet on that, but I want a little extra exposure this week. We took the opposite side in the Tyler versus Chris Cloud matchup. And I want to put $5 straight up that Chris Cloud's going to beat Tyler.
Okay, let me see that. Look at that matchup again. Nah, I don't feel, you know what? Now with this whole COVID Nick Chubb thing, I'm going to skip that one.
How about this then? We can hedge our bet. I'll pick Tyler. You pick Chris Cloud. Pick against ourselves.
Are you serious?
With $5 in the line, I'll take Tyler.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Fine.
This is the dumbest bet we've made all year.
Stupid. Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, dumbest bet. Until you hear this one. I call this the Deshaun Jackson parlay. Number 1, Deshaun Jackson has to play this week.
Okay.
Number 2, Deshaun Jackson has exactly 1 catch.
Uh-huh.
Number 3, Deshaun Jackson's catch is for over 47.5 yards.
So you want to bet that he's going to get a single 47+ yard catch?
Yes.
Or 48 plus yard catch?
Yes. 1 catch.
I almost want to give you odds where it's more like, if this does happen, I'll give you $5. And if it doesn't happen, you can give me 50 cents.
Okay.
Lovely.
Let's do that. Fine.
Lovely.
50 cents.
So 50 cents, that's a nice little thing. And with that, I wanted to take us back to our roots, Corby, and make just a silly little bet. Silly little bet. There have been some great bets in the history of our league, and I think that they all kind of started with more modest roots. And I want to take us there because I think Ben Roethlisberger will simply score more than his projection of 17.46 this week.
I don't think he will.
Sure, let's make that. That's fun.
No way.
Let's do a little bet.
No way. Has he scored that many points this year? Probably.
I don't think so.
Oh, let me see who he's playing.
Detroit.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, whatever. Nah, that's a Najee game. My final bet of the week is more total touches, Melvin Gordon versus Javonte Williams.
Do you have a side that you lean?
I think I feel pretty good about taking Gordon, honestly.
Here's the thing. I think Gordon probably leads in real world touches, but yes. Javonte leads in the hearts and minds of fantasy managers. He's so much fun to watch. I'll take him. Yeah, sure.
Okay. This feels like the torch is about to be passed.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, Melvin, I love you, baby. You've been nothing but good to me in fantasy, but I think it's time for you to, you're really good, but just anyways. From
Melvin Gordon to the mailbag, we take it now. And we're going to go chronologically this week. We had a packed mailbag, mostly from a back and forth. So we're going to start with the longest comment thread here, where Mike Bekanowitz started off by answering the final question of the week. Will Chris Colby ever win fantasy football, specifically this league? And Mike answers, Cousin Chris will win the league one year. The only ones who won't ever win are me and Taylor.
I agree with that. Next, Mike replies to his own comment and says, actually, now that I think about it, didn't Chris have a chance a previous year, but he started Mike Evans when he wasn't going to play or something, like in the semifinals? Stat guy, please pull up the receipts.
And then Colin chimes in, responding to that comment at Mike Bekanowitz. 2 years ago in the championship game, he started Fuller, Evans, Christian Kirk, and Mike Williams. They combined for 13 points. He had Larry Fitz and Randall Cobb on the bench. And if he played those guys instead, he could have won. Hindsight's 2020, Chris. Don't worry about it. I believe in you.
I love these positive vibes. It's great. Mike then replies to Dewey Boyman and says, there was something going on with Chris Evans that week. I'm almost sure of it. I'm going to do my own research. Hashtag ivermectin.
Mike then replies to his own comment again. I combed through our chat, and on December 23rd, 2019, 4 of us said Mike Evans.
I remember this.
These comments were definitely made in our sarcastic manner. I checked and confirmed. Mike Evans was announced as out for the season on December 10th, 2019.
Finally, Dewey Boylan replies to Mike and says, SMH, Chris, the haft of the arrow had been fletched with the feather of the bird it had slain. We often provide the enemy with our own means to destruction.
Man, oh man, this comment thread had me thinking, if Mike and Colin had a podcast, I would totally listen.
I would totally listen to that.
You've got stats. You've got wisdom from Colin. This is great. You've even got a mention of ivermectin. Only the biggest podcasts can get away with that. That's great.
Next comment here is also from Mike, and I'd like to address this one. Corby, I am surprised at your takes on Roman Reigns after your less than enthused reaction to his appearance at the 2017 Royal Rumble. Are you a Romanite now? Also, the Swiss cheese slander will not stand. What goes on a Cuban sandwich? Swiss cheese. Yes, I absolutely had a lapse in judgment. Swiss cheese absolutely does go on a Cuban sandwich, and it is good on a Cuban sandwich, and that is the only sandwich that it is good on. Swiss cheese sucks unless it's on a Cuban sandwich. As for Roman Reigns, yes. 2017, I did not like him. He was not that great, but now he's like a cocky heel, and he's fucking hilarious. He's such a dick. I love it. He's great.
I think I agree. Not maybe, I don't want to out myself and go for wrestling knowledge that I simply don't possess. I'm not going to comment there, but I will comment on food because that's one thing I do now. And Swiss cheese being only good on a Cuban sandwich just shows you the lengths that people had to go to make Swiss cheese work. Invented by the Swiss for hundreds of years, probably just sat around not being good for anything until the Cubans finally came all around and said, let's put mustard on a pickle with it. And it'll be palatable. So it took a whole lot to make Swiss cheese work on one specific thing. I definitely agree. No good. Congrats to Mike on changing his team name.
Yeah.
Next, we have a question, and I'm going to call this one the revival of the mailbag. It's Colin chiming in. What is your guys' favorite fantasy football team in your career? Quote, I once rode Devonta Freeman and Tevin Coleman as my RB1 and RB2 into a championship, even though they were on the same team, and I will never forget it.
My favorite team ever. I mean, it's easy to say it's your championship team if you have a championship team. Am I right? No, my favorite team is definitely my championship team because my first two draft picks were CJ Anderson and Jeremy Hill, and they were fucking horrible, and I still won the championship, and they were still on my roster in that championship game, and I didn't start them. I started Tim Hightower instead. It was fucking dope.
That's sweet. That is sweet for you to say, like, basically, let me lay down my arms and I'm going to win this fist fight against your sword. That's sweet. That's sweet. So basically for me, I didn't want to say my championship team, but I'm going to say my championship team. And it's basically not even because I won that year. It's because the team was named after Robbie Christ. And I love when the whole league can get in on a team name thing. We had Disciples of Theo, Disciples of Ezekiel, right?
And then you fucking came with the Robbie Christ. Was so funny.
Well, it was Robbie Christ because what was the kicker's name on the Giants that, like, I don't know, he beat his wife in a hotel or something awful?
Was it John?
John Brown, right?
John. It's literally, I think it's just John Brown.
Yeah, John Brown. And basically, I was Disciples of Brown or Disciples of John, but I photoshopped him with devil horns in hell. So when Robbie Christ came, that's when I made, not the heel turn, quite the opposite. I ascended and won the championship on good vibes. So it's less about the winning and more about the communal experience of everyone naming their team name the same thing. That was fun. And I'll also say this year, making a podcast means I pay more attention. The more attention you pay to fantasy football, the more fun you have with it is something I've realized. So, Taylor, why do you keep doing this? Obviously, you're not.
Nice.
I kid, Taylor. Positive vibes only.
Definitely. Our next comment is a first-time commenter. It's our new number one fan, Derek Butler. Derek Butler says, definitely overrated. And I couldn't agree more, Derek. Thank you for the comment.
Yep. Derek Butler definitely gets it done here. Joined YouTube in January of 2019. posted a video pretty soon thereafter called Pool Animation. Don't know if you checked this one out. Highly recommend it. We're going to leave a link to it in the description here. It's an 11-second video that could have been better animated in PowerPoint, showing him hitting an 8-ball into a corner pocket, flashing, you win. But please check it out. It is so worth it. It has 11 views, and I think 3 of them are me now, just trying to decipher what's going on. He also has a playlist called Cody Blue, which just has 2 blogger posts of a guy who goes camping named Cody Blue. I don't understand. Who is Derek Butler?
I don't know.
Adam, too, I can see. Whether it be Adam throwing us off the scent or another league mate giving us some good content. Who the hell is Derek Butler?
Dude, I have no idea.
True mystery here. Next, from somebody who we have no idea who they are to somebody who we think we have a pretty good idea. Adam Belargeron comments. Question. Will Chris Colby ever win this fantasy football league? Answer. Why, yes, and maybe sooner than we think. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Love it. Thank you for answering.
Just today, 14 hours prior to recording, Chris Colby tunes in to get his voice heard one more time on the pod and says, "Turned to Cousin Mike's ass into Swiss cheese this week." You sure did, bud. You sure did. And with that final comment, we're going to say goodbye on episode 10 of the Why Do Boys Make podcast. I'd like to thank you all again for giving us time out of your day to listen. And if you could give us one more thing, I will ask you to remember to like and subscribe. I didn't get any subscribers last week, and I didn't feel too good about it, so please hit the bell. And again, thanks for listening. I'm Fitzy.
And I'm Corby.
And gamers, game on.